meeting for anyone to raise any other questions they have.
Thank you.
Just in case you don't have a link to the agenda, you should have edit privileges on that if you're a member of the SIG Autoscaling mailing list.
Thank you.
Hey, hello, welcome everyone to our weekly SIG meeting. We have 5 items, actually probably 6 items on the agenda. And the first one is a long-standing reminder about MPA from Haran and Chen. The next one is from Lali. Lali, could you please tell us more about your...
Yeah, oh, sorry, I thought I was waiting for Haran's go first. Okay, so, this PR is LGTM, but I'm just asking exactly how you want to mark the flags that activate the feature as alpha. Just in the release notes, you want me to put a comment in the documentation for the flag itself and the executable? What would you like?
Both. So documentation and release notes probably would be the best.
Okay, and the documentation, is there some place that I know about, or do I just put it in the like get opt equivalent of flag documentation?
I think that we may have something on GitHub, but any place I guess will do, more or less.
Okay, I'll look around what I can find. That should be it. And then David wanted me to do his because he can't make the meeting. He was just asking for a peek at the 3 PRs listed. He did 5900, which is now 6062, was already reviewed once, but he had to amend a unit test. So if we could look at it again. And let me make sure the other two just need a look, which is 6061 and 5886.
Okay, one requires reapproval and the other is Joachim attention, right? Okay,
Yep.
will do. And we'll let Joachim know he is not on this call today, unfortunately. Okay, Guy.
Yep, just a quick update on the 128 zero release of the CA. Pushed images up to the staging repo, raised PR to mirror. So once that gets approved, those will be published to the public registry, and then I'll do the release notes once they're actually published, since I don't want to confuse anyone before then. This is also the first release we've done with an S390X image published as well. So if anyone is interested in that and is able to test it out, so I don't have access to any clusters requiring that, then please give us feedback if it doesn't work, or if it does work.
Okay, Suresh.
I have a PR which has been approved by Maciek and the original creator of the external gRPC log. There was a concern which Maciek had raised, and there's a comment from the original creator as well, and he has created another PR which is waiting on this PR to get merged. The PR is approved by both of them, but it hasn't been merged. So I just wanted to...
Okay, so this one needs to be merged. Why the Bonfigili didn't give you LGTM? He's the original author, right?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
So I'm looking at this PR right now, and Maciek asked Deb Bonfigli to give LGTM. He approved it, and Deb Bonfigli didn't give LGTM. So
Oh, I see. I see. Yep.
what should I do? Overwrite him or what?
No, I think this is, I missed that. I'll reach out to him first. Thank you for
Okay,
seeing that.
please reach out to him. If he's not responsive, we will take.
Yeah, no issues. That is too good of me. Sorry about that.
No worries. Okay, Michelle.
Hi. Okay, so I put the issue that we're having in the chat. Can you hear me? Let's see. Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So I'm with General Electric. I have a group, the Orchestrator group, that I'm a staff programmer, and we're implementing this, or we're migrating our applications from Cloud Foundry to EKS. And so in the Orchestrator group is trying to set up VPA for me. And they're having a problem. And I don't know if this is something that is known, because AWS, which is our managed provider, is telling us that VPA is a third party. It's beyond AWS scope of support to provide assistance. So is this issue known with VPA?
I'm looking at this issue that you're describing.
Yes, sir.
And I would double check if you have the webhook for VPA installed. So you're saying that pods are being terminated as having incorrect requests, but they are not changed. The requests are not changed, right? And they are created with the original request. So something is missing, and this something seems to be VPA webhook plugin that intercepts newly created or recreated pods and assigns new requests to them. So the VPA installation should contain of three elements: webhook, recommender, and updater. Something creates recommendations and updater is acting on them, killing pods. But as the pods are not updated, it seems that webhook is not doing its job. So I would make sure that webhook does its job. And AWS is partially right. Its VPA is outside of AWS jurisdiction, so well, they send you in the correct direction.
Well, they didn't send me. But they're not doing it. So this is not the group. So then you want me to post the issue on the GitHub issues page?
I'm not sure if that's the issue or misconfiguration on your side. From what you are describing, it looks like that the basic functionality of VPA, assigning resources that have been recommended, is not working. So chances are that we have newly created fundamental bug in the product, but if I had to bet my money on something, I would rather bet on misconfiguration on your end. And it would be good to double check that you have this webhook properly configured and is working and has all the permission, and check its logs. If you double check that on the webhook side everything is fine, then please file the issue and add it to the agenda on this of this meeting so we can take proper care of it. But for now, it looks like, at least for me, as misconfiguration.
I might say that it probably the one thing is that GE is heavily concerned with cybersecurity. So the one thing I would say you touched on is probably the permissions. If for some reason cyber is preventing it, maybe that's the option. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So is there, but in the event that this is, so is there a way to fail safe to adequately check the VPA webhook? Is there a way that you can recommend that they can
Well,
verify the in and out there without fail?
you can check the webhook logs, and it seems that it is not installed because it is not working. It is not assigning the resources. VPA would not be killing and replacing pods if it didn't calculate the recommendation. So metrics gathering work, at least from your description.
Okay.
Updater work. What is missing is intercepting pod and assigning the resources. And that can fail either because of some very big bug on our end, or because something went wrong with the configuration on your side. So either you didn't apply all the permission, or you didn't install the webhook, or you have something that prevents intercepting pod, or something totally different, but from the configuration ballpark, I would say.
Is there a link you can provide to me that has, in the event that we do this, I work with the group, and then we do have to post it for next week's meeting. Is there a link you can provide me that I
Yes,
can
there
post
is
these?
already on chat, there is a link to our agenda.
Oh, all right. Thank you. All right. I will do that. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Okay, are there any other topics for today?
Hey, hello everyone. I just joined. Sorry, I was late. I've posted a PR on the cluster autoscaler to add the JSON logging support. That was about 2 weeks ago. I had some discussion with somebody. I'm not sure if that person is present. And I was wondering if there was anything left that needed to be done. That person asked me to squash the commits last week.
Yeah,
So I did.
that was me.
Oh, that was you. Okay.
So if you squash, then I think that we are good to go. I must have missed the PR. But anyway, if it's one commit, okay, I have got the link. I will approve it.
Thank you. I have another question. So when those PRs are merged, I assume at one point there's going to be a new release, which a bunch of fixes and features are going to get added. So usually, what's the kind of like the release cycle that's happening?
So
When
release cycle is more or less aligned with Kubernetes release. Guy today announced the release of new version, and it usually covers whatever was merged up to the cut. So your PR didn't make the cut. So by default, it will be released with 1.29, which will be probably around December or New Year or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what's the release calendar for Kubernetes. Or you can ask for cherry pick into releases of your choosing, and then at some point there will be a patch release of Kubernetes when we get enough patches cherry picked into a particular release.
Okay, perfect. I'll look into this and do this. Thank you.
So I've shared a link to the patch release schedule. The next round of patch releases is intended for sort of 2 weeks time ish. So if you get it merged into the default branch and then cherry pick it into other branches, it should make it into those next round, which will be in roughly 2 weeks time.
Amazing. And this is very specific since we use Kubernetes 125 at the moment. So is 125 too old for it to be released in patch, or I think you go 3 version back? Is that correct?
If it's still in release if it's still in support upstream, which I think 125 is just, we should be cutting releases for it.
Amazing. Thanks a lot for the help.
Okay, welcome. Okay, anything more? Anyone?
Hi. I'm trying to get involved more into the group and to contribute to these projects, but I cannot find any good first issue. Is there any other way that I can contribute?
First issue, we have plenty of issues, more than we would like. So there's one option. Other option is to pick a product that we would like to contribute to, and we can get you some ideas for feature, for expansion, or you can have an idea of your own. Do you have anything particular on your mind when you say that you would like to contribute?
I know. I'm particularly a newbie, so I don't have a lot of experience with Kubernetes in general. So I just want to get a first take by contributing to a good first issue. But when I try to filter that to see if there any, that currently none exists. So is there anyone have any good first issue that I can try to do?
We could probably try to look around, but Almiko has his hand risen.
Yeah, I think Trung, you and I have spoken on
Yeah.
on Slack a few times. I think like in general, like the auto scaling projects are a great place to get involved, but they can be a little tough to get into if you're just getting started. You might want to become familiar with like kind of the main differentiations we have between pod auto scaling and cluster auto scaling, and start to become comfortable with how these kind of two different operations work. In general, I think pod auto scaling is probably easier to get into because you could use something like kind or one of the Minikube or one of the local options to really do a lot of testing. So you might want to start learning how like the vertical pod autoscaler works and the horizontal pod autoscaler works. And if you could start running those tests locally, that's a great place to start. And then the next thing you could do is start looking for issues. And once you've got a test set up running, then it becomes a lot easier for us in the community to say, okay, here's an issue that you could take on your own. You could test it to make sure that you confirm it's broken, and then you could make changes to fix it. It's a little more difficult to do this with the cluster autoscaler because you have to have the resources available to be able to create clusters, to grow them and shrink them. So there's an infrastructure kind of reliance that you need there as well. So my personal feeling is if you want to get more into the SIG and you want to get more into autoscaling, I might start by looking at the pod autoscalers first. And the vertical pod autoscaler lives in the autoscaling repository, and the horizontal pod autoscaler lives in the main Kubernetes repository. So you might want to become comfortable with those projects, learn how to deploy like kind or Minikube locally, or use a Kubernetes cluster you already have. Understand how pod autoscaling works, make sure you can run the unit tests and the end-to-end tests. Once you get that working, you'll be in a great place to start working on issues at that point, because you'll have an understanding of how the system works and how you can start operating it, and then you could start to look at bugs that are coming up there. So that I know we've talked before in the past. That would be my suggestion. Just become comfortable operating these projects, and then it becomes a lot easier to get into kind of fixing them and debugging them and whatnot.
Okay, I see. Thank you very much. I will try to do that.
Thank you, Almiko. Okay, anyone else? Okay, no volunteers, so let me go for people who hasn't spoken yet. John?
Nope, nothing today. Think so.
Shubham?
Nothing from my side.
David?
I'm good, thanks.
Jesse,
Nothing for me. Thank you.
Luis.
Nothing for me either. Thank you.
Okay, looks that we are done for today. So thank you all for
Just-
joining.
Just a quick one, sorry. There's nothing on the agenda this week for the sync with Carpenter. So just going to cancel that meeting as well.
Okay, so thank you all for joining. See you again next week. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.